You again? What's new since last week?
I just been very hard on myself because of my weight and trying to lose weight and as well as I've been really hard on myself in a sense of being a single mom and doing everything myself and trying to provide the best that I can, and there's just only so much I can do, and it's just very overwhelming in my mind um and yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a lot on your plate. You're trying to lose some weight. You feel a lot of pressure because you're a single mom, and sometimes that just feels overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming because like I always like go to try diets and then like I don't stick with it, and then like I'm just like hard on myself, and then like at the same time like I have these feelings of loneliness, like I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm all alone, like that's like the feelings I have felt all week,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm on my medicine. I think that I might need to get my medicine upped a little bit, my depression meds. So I've been thinking about that.
So you're really aware of like how you've been feeling, and you're recognizing that something's been off, and like you know how much your meds do for you. So when you reach the point where okay, something is off, I'll go talk to my doctor, and that's awesome. You also mentioned that you were feeling lonely.
Yeah, just like kind of like by myself, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I'm just always by myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at home and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know, it's a lot. And there's a lot on my plate, and I'm just tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be exhausting being a single mom and trying to reach your goals and trying some things that haven't worked out for you yet. And I'm sure that can also feel isolating and make you feel even
Mm,
more lonely.
yes, exactly. Um I don't know, like dating has been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um like being able to point out like what I deserve and what I should take and what I shouldn't take,
Mm-hmm.
and so that has a big issue of my depression, just like I need to just like be by myself and just like let it happen, but like my addict mind, because I'm in recovery,
Mm-hmm.
like wants it now,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm always going for like the wrong person, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I'm at right now with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. It feels like it's hard to be patient to find somebody who's the right fit for you. And you recognize that you've been with all these people in the past that haven't quite been right, and you know that you deserve better.
Yes, it's never been right. Like both of
Mm-hmm.
my kids' dads, it's toxic, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't help things that they really don't help me financially either.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
No.
but
Yeah. And you're feeling more of that stress because they're not helping you financially. And I know, like last time when we talked to, you were mentioning that things have been a little more stressful with like the cost of living increasing, and you're
yes,
trying to manage that
my
as
rent's going
well.
up, gas
Yeah.
prices. It's just super stressful. Like
Mm-hmm.
I the other day I had an opportunity to possibly get a house, and then like when I figured out it wasn't going to work out, I was just
Mm-hmm.
like I'm ready to put the towel in. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to give up. Like
Yeah.
cuz I feel stuck, and I feel like I'm not going to like go forward at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so,
It's discouraging.
and when I feel
Yeah.
stuck, that's where I start to go to that like F it attitude
Mm-hmm.
and not want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I just shut down completely. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I'm heading down again, is like to shut
Mm-hmm.
down completely. And that's what makes me feel like maybe my depression meds need to get up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I did just start taking them. So,
Yeah.
like the dosing and stuff like that makes it,
Right.
I don't know if that has to do with it or just everything that's
Mm-hmm.
on my mind.
Well, I mean, you're certainly going through a lot, and I think it's super reasonable to be stressed out when, like, the economy sucks and it's your housing, right? It's your stability, and that's a scary thought to um, sit with. And um, So you were mentioning that you were feeling like you wanted to just kind of like shut down and that you want to throw in the towel, but something's keeping you going. I was wondering what that might be.
I mean, it's almost like I have to keep going. I guess I don't have to keep going, but like a part of me just keeps going mainly because of my two kids.
Yeah.
I feel like if I didn't have my two kids, I'd probably be completely different, you know? So knowing that I have them that depend on me and that I have to take care of them, it's almost like a must.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your kids are your best motivator.
Yeah. So like it gets me to like keep, you know, going forward. I don't know, like it's just I'm kind of just in that like blah. Like right now I can feel the depression, but like I know that I just started the medicine, so it's not like completely where I'm like completely shut off, but I feel like I'm heading in that direction, if that makes sense.
Heading in the direction that it is starting to work, or
like
heading in the direction that things could get worse?
Like part of it's working, but part of it is like it's getting worse. That's how I know that I need to tell my doctor to up my dose, because I'm not all the way like completely depressed. Like the last time when I went into my depression mode completely, 100% completely, when I was on nothing, like I couldn't move. I couldn't, you know, take care of myself properly. You know, like it's almost like I'm on drugs. Like when the depression hits, when it hits me 100%, there's like nothing that will get me out of it. I mean, my house will be destroyed. You'll walk in my house and think that I'm on drugs, and I'm really not. It's just depression takes everything out of me, takes everything away from me. So that's why I'm trying to be aware of these feelings that I'm feeling, to where I can nip it before I get that bad again.
Yeah. That's really awesome that you're so aware of it too, that you know, okay, this is what's happened in the past, and like you compare it to being like when you were on drugs before. So I'm sure that's kind of like a scary thought for you when you get to that space, because I would be willing to bet like that there's concerns about like relapse or just
for sure. I can definitely go into that relapse mode completely, because if I'm in that like don't care about anything, that would just make it feel better of not caring. If I did put drugs in me, or if I put alcohol in me, it would make my depression like accepted, and to where like I'm depressed, but like getting high, it takes it away completely, where that stuff around me is not really happening, even though it is. So
it's like you don't have to feel what you're going through.
Where today I have to feel those feelings, and I have to address, okay, if I'm feeling this way, what do I need to do? You know, either it's talking to you or trying to get it out instead of trying to bottle it in. Because like I have this like tough persona to me, to where everything's fine, you know, like how are you doing, Brittany? Like I'm doing fine, you know, but am I really doing fine? And being able to get those things out, because then when I hold it in and think that like, oh, I'm tough, like I don't want to be in a relationship, like I don't need a man, you know, like obviously one day I do want a relationship, that's the truth, but then I put this persona on, this false persona to myself and to others, that like, you know, like I'm fine, you know, like, and so I'm trying not to have that persona over myself as much. So
you feel like you have to bottle it up to be like strong for yourself, to be strong for your kids.
Yes,
and kind of mask how you're feeling from those around you.
So so I'm trying to get into the habit of not bottling it up, and talking about it, and getting the feelings out, and getting my meds the right dose, and to where I can get back to like feeling, you know, okay.
I mean, so that's awesome, because you know all the things that you have to do to get yourself back in the right headspace. When you've been successful with that in the past, what did that look like?
So I have this habit of like having a busy schedule. So like always on the go.
Right.
Go, 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 go. Going to work every day, taking care of my kids, in recovery, cleaning my house, and making sure everything's perfect. And, I do that, go, 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 until all of a sudden I completely stop.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go, 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 I feel like everything's okay. Like I'm not having to feel no feelings. I'm not having to address anything.
Right.
I just do my normal.
Similar to like when you were using before.
Yes, I get in that
it's just
same,
a healthier substitute.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get in the same behaviors and the same routine that I would get if I was using, other than I'm not using, and I'm showing up to work.
Yeah.
I'm paying my bills. I'm taking care of my kids. Like the things you don't do when you're getting high.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's still that same addict behavior of I gotta go, 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 go,
Mm-hmm.
go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except chasing the drugs, I'm like chasing just to constantly do something, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody else needs something, I'm on it.
Right.
Because then it takes away from me having to So like when you say like what does it look like? Sometimes I don't know. It's hard for me to define like. Is it going good because it really is going good, or is it going good because
you're still kind of running from it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle the most is, am I running away from things that I need to look at, work on, take care of? Because like I'm very good at like
taking care of everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's hard for me to determine like, to me, if everybody else is taken care of, bills are paid, house is clean, then everything's fine.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I'm going through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then so long of me not taking a look at me, that's when things start to
fall apart.
Because when I'm not good, other people aren't good, or you know what I mean? So,
and if you keep coming back to like, okay, when things get bad, I keep myself really busy. I take care of everyone around me. And then you fall back into that cycle of shit, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling really depressed again. Is that really working for you?
Right. And that's where I'm at right now, is trying to find that balance of, am I taking care of what I need to take care of? Or am I just like putting more on my plate?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That doesn't need to. So I'm trying to find that boundary.
Yeah.
With other people saying no, which is really hard for me.
Yeah.
Especially when it's another addict. When another addict needs help, I like jump on it. Because like part of my recovery and part of an addict's recovery that works a 12-step program, one of the main things you do is you give back.
Right.
But I tend to give back too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You give back so much that there's nothing left for yourself.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, I haven't mentioned this to you, but 2 weeks ago, no wait, was it last Friday? Yeah, it was last Friday. I was helping this addict. She relapsed, and she was at her house, but I was working from home for a couple hours, so I couldn't leave my house. Like I had to do my work. And then I got done with my work, and she said she's having her brother pick her up, which is who she uses crack and heroin with.
Yeah.
And so then I'm also there for her, and I'm there for her husband. So it's like they're having problems. They're getting a divorce.
Right.
So I'm trying to help him and be there for him and be his friend. And then at the same time, I'm trying to help her too. And like, I actually like drove to her brother's house. I called the husband and I was like, what's the brother's address?
Yeah.
And I drove there while there was a drug deal being made. And then like, I got her to come in the car with me. She jumps out of the car, and it's just like stuff like that like,
and this was
is
like
bad for my mind.
to stop her from using.
Yes.
Yeah.
To stop her from using and to try to get her back home to where she wasn't going to go down that route, and like there was nothing else I could do.
Yeah.
So then I just left. I left Narcan, and then her husband was having a hard time, so I ended up being there for him because he wasn't using. And it just gets messy. It gets messy when you're helping a using addict when you're clean. And because no matter what, like if I'm around any type of substance, And this is another thing that I recently figured out is I can be around people that drink, and it doesn't bother me at all. Like my family or friends that I have that have drinks, like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But if I'm around an addict who's drinking, it messes with me in a different way. Like I was sitting on the couch trying to like talk to her and stuff, and like she was drinking the vodka bottle, and like I instantly had a thought of drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, like I want to drink that.
Is
Where
that
like if you were
see
drinking,
yourself and her more,
maybe that's what it is. Like if you were drinking right now, it wouldn't affect me because I know you're not an addict.
Right.
You know, like I could go out to eat with my best friend who's not an addict, and she's drinking, getting drunk, and it doesn't affect me that way. But sitting on that couch next to this girl who I'm trying to help drinking, it affected me. To where I wanted to drink with her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm wondering if that's just like you have such an immense sense of like empathy for people in recovery, because like you've been there and you know how bad it can be, and you kind of feel like you need to save everyone. So if you see that they're in that spot as well, then you feel that empathy and you know how they're feeling, and maybe part of you wants to feel that again, or part of you wants to like self-sabotage. But
yes,
yes,
and that's another thing that I go through is like my life is good, and like I be grateful for what I have, that type of attitude. And then it's like it's almost like I have one of those fears of success, because I went so long being a failure, or at least feeling like a failure. So when everything's okay, it's almost like, okay, something needs to mess up.
Yeah.
Something needs to go wrong, because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
You know, so, and yes, I do feel other people's pain. I'm definitely an empath for sure. So I felt it with her.
Right.
And because I'm an addict, like I'm sitting next to her, like feeling all these feelings that she's feeling, to where like I want to take the feelings away with her.
Right.
Like it's crazy. It sounds ludicrous and sounds messed up, but that's kind of like how it went that day.
Yeah.
And that's why they say, like, if you make they call it a 12-step call. Like if you're going to somewhere where there's drugs or alcohol to try to get someone out of the situation, you're supposed to bring somebody with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
No. Well, I mean, it was like
it was
a
like one of those
situation for you.
Yeah, it was one of those things like, I'm going to get her to come with me. I'm going to get her in my car, and I'm going to get her to go to her apartment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And she's going to listen to me.
Right.
And her ex-husband, her soon-to-be ex-husband told me, he's like, she's not going to go with you. Once she made that decision,
But you felt like you owed it to yourself to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to say I tried. And I haven't heard from her in a while. I haven't heard from the husband in a while. But I was able to text another friend like, hey, do you know if James is okay? And she said, yeah, he's okay. You know, so like, I know he's okay. Her, I'm not sure. I talked to her sponsor, who's my friend, and I was like, have you heard from her? And she's like, nope. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, you know.
Is it weighing on you? Or do you know that like you tried your best with it and like you did everything you could and you can make peace with that?
Yeah, it weighs on me a little bit. It's hard when like you get attached to people. You know what I mean? Like she's kind of like I have like a connection with her 'cause she's my son's family. So it's like
it's like an extra layer.
Like to see her doing really good, you know what I mean? Gave me hope for my son's dad. Yeah. Like maybe he could get better too. And then like seeing her mess up, it's like
that hope that you have is kind of
gone. Yeah. And then it makes me I tend to have the mindset of like there's nothing I can do for addicts, which isn't true, but like there's nothing I can do, you know. But then it goes back to that like in mental health aspect, you know, like maybe I didn't like succeed in like getting her to leave the situation, but like maybe some of the words that I said stuck with her that will help her one day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I stick to.
Keeps you going. Yeah.
Same thing with like clients and stuff when they
Yeah.
come and see me and stuff and they used or they relapsed. Like I literally, all I can do is say, okay, let's talk about what led to the relapse, and then to not stop having hope.
Right.
If there's nobody that has hope for them,
Right.
I do. You know, and sometimes that hope overpowers my mind.
Yeah, when you're feeling like burnt and hopeless, you run
Yes,
into somebody new
yes.
and you can
Like this person messes up and this person messes up, and that's the thing about like having a job in recovery and then working in recovery outside of your job. It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, like I have hope for it, you know, and then the hope is gone.
Yeah.
You know,
so much of your life is recovery, right?
Yes.
Your own recovery, your sponsee's recovery, NA, like your whole job too, right? Who are you outside of being somebody in recovery?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, how do you, so obviously, like, you are not just somebody who's in recovery, right? What are those other parts of you?
That's hard to define.
Yeah.
All I know is recovery. And if I'm not in recovery, I'm using. That's all I know.
Yeah. So it's so much of your identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It is extremely my closest friends are in recovery.
Yeah.
You know, guys that I date are in recovery.
Right. But there's more to your friends than them just being in recovery as well, right?
Right. I mean, when it comes to likes and dislikes and like things we like to do and you know, I guess that's like outside of recovery, because like when we're in recovery meetings and things like that, we're not talking about, you know, necessarily like, you know, we still have lives, like just like non-addicts do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Non-addicts like to do what they do just as well as we do. And yeah, it's one of those things that's hard to define. Obviously, I want to be more fit, which kind of doesn't really have to do with my recovery. It's more or less I can obsess about it like I do with. It's hard. It's hard to separate it because like everything is recovery to me, or like how you label the disease of addiction.
Yeah,
I suffer with the disease of addiction, and obviously with over 5 years clean, it's not about the drugs anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all of those things come out in other areas.
Right.
You know, because like I can do a diet and I know I can do it because I've done it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. But like once I finally make that decision that I'm going to do it and I'm going to stick to it, it will be like chasing a drug.
Right.
And I will do it to the point where like sometimes I obsess.
Right.
And overly obsessed to it.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of goes back to like my eating and stuff like that is I'm afraid that I'm going to go back to that like obsession when I lost all the weight before.
Right.
And that's all I think about is dieting.
Right.
And when I dieted before and I lost the 50 pounds, I wasn't worrying about a relationship. I wasn't worrying about being with a guy, you know. So like obviously if like I'm getting attention from guys or they're talking to me and things like that, it's like, oh, I don't need to go on a diet, you know, even though like I need to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I need to lose this weight, and I sidetrack myself with whether it's a guy or something else to where I don't have to focus on that.
Right.
And
you're so used to like all these things that you're doing being very like all or nothing. When you're trying to find like a happy balance for things, it kind of looks like, or it kind of sounds like it feels like you're looking for a distraction rather than you see it as this is balanced.
Yes. Anything I do, it's like, you know, like my son wanted me to coach baseball. No, I'm going to coach baseball and I'm going to be the vice president of baseball. You know what I mean? When I should have just signed up to be the coach and that's it.
Right.
You know, because now I'm so drained from it to where I never want to do it again. You know, I want to go to gay pride. I have to buy like all this gay pride stuff.
You're very passionate though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, I kind of go all out, which is, it's a good thing that I kind of go all out and I'm into life today and things like that. But sometimes it can be
too much.
Yeah. You know, like, I'm trying to get my mindset to what I have today. And like, for example, like the house thing, I was really hard on myself about it because then I feel like a failure, or I feel like I'm not good enough, or like I'm letting my son down who really wants me to buy a house. And depends on that. Something I promised him when I got custody back was I'm going to buy a house one day,
Right.
and it's going to be our house, and you know, like something little, but I promised him a dog. We can't have a dog unless I buy a house.
Right.
And that's just an example. So like all this time, like more time goes that I can't buy a house, and I feel defeated when I need to like keep it in my mindset that like it's just not the right time today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really good perspective.
So I'm trying. I mean, it's easier said than done. I'm also trying to think of where I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I think about where I was sitting 5 years ago, it helps me to what I'm not getting right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like,
you can be proud of your accomplishments.
Yeah, like I literally was homeless over 5 years ago.
Right.
Like I had nowhere to go, nowhere to live.
Right.
I wasn't eating. Like it was. Where today it's like those are the least of my worries.
Right.
But what was once like
everything.
Right.
Right.
So I try to think about that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like when I do get lonely.
Yeah.
Like would I rather be lonely in the predicament I was 5 years ago, or lonely in the life that I live today?
Right.
You know, like
absolutely
trying to get in that way. And it helps being able to talk it out.
Yeah.
You know, like with you and stuff like that.
When you think about all of your past accomplishments, then that helps you to feel less like a failure.
Yeah. Good. And a lot of times my oldest is a big equation in the way that I think. My 4-year-old is kind of more resilient in the situation because he was born in recovery.
Yeah.
So I feel like he gets a chance at a better life than my oldest because he gets me clean.
Yeah.
Born, you know, till now.
Yeah.
Where like my oldest had me at my worst in life.
Yeah.
You know, being on drugs and the lifestyle and things like that, to where like now, like, yes, I owe it to myself, but I feel like I owe it to him too, to provide the best that I can for him to watch me go from where I was over 5 years ago to where I am now.
Yeah.
And when he thinks I'm not doing something good,
yeah,
it's like
extra pressure.
And that's also another thing. You know, like I did get overly excited. I told him about the house, and then when I told him it didn't work out, he was like, "You just can't afford anything." And it's like he doesn't understand that like what we do have, and like it's huge compared to what we had 5 years ago. You didn't even have me in your life 5 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a place to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I did have a place, we started with a little place.
Yeah.
And then we got a townhouse. Like we are still doing better.
Right.
But it's not his better in an 11-year-old's mind. It's he doesn't hopefully when he gets older
he'll understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that he does. Because sometimes they'll fear that like me, I'm messed up because of my mom and dad. So I feel like when he's older, is he going to be like, my mom really fucked me up because she did this and then she did that wrong. And, you know, so like that's constantly in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't think that anyone gets through like parenting unscathed, right? I think that everyone does their absolute best. But, like, we all just hurt each other regardless. It's just a fact of life. So, I mean, there might be part of him in some days where he feels like, you know, that was fucked up. Like, I wish I didn't go through that. But I'm sure there's a lot of him that will recognize, like, all the sacrifice that you made for him. And, like, I'm sure he so much appreciates right now, too, how much, like, he has you in his life. He doesn't have his dad, right? I'm sure he can recognize how much you do for him and how much you love him. And, you have to take the place of two people, right?
Yeah.
In time. But that's just like so much to take on yourself too, to take responsibility for everything he feels when he gets older, right? That's not all on you.
Right. Yeah.
So it's saying that like when Joshua was born, he was born in recovery, so you're not as worried about him, but because like when you had Ethan, you were still in active addiction. Um, you carry that pressure, and it seems like there's like some guilt associated with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you feel like you need to meet all of his expectations to compensate for that.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of what's been weighing on me for the last week. Today I'm trying to just like chill mentally.
Yeah.
You know?
Give yourself a break.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in today, and it was good to check in with you. I think you're doing everything right. You recognize where you're at and the help that you need. You recognize sometimes when you're taking on too much and carrying on everyone else, caring for everyone else and not yourself. And that like something's got to give to where you can care for yourself more.
Thank you for talking to me.